Hello everyone, this is Jeff Harvey from Down Under Visa, Australian Registered Migration Agency in Manila, Philippines. We will be talking today about long stay tourist visa strategy from Philippines to Australia. Okay, long stay tourist visa strategy from Philippines to Australia. Australian tourist visas were designed for short stays and not long stays. They were designed with typical visitors in mind, those who would visit for a bit and then leave again. For those in the early stages of an Australian Filipina relationship, they're fantastic. It's not as complicated or anywhere near as expensive as a partner visa, with a fairly short processing time. So just note that long stay tourist visas do not exist. Okay, they're not for that purpose. Now we're going to have a look at tourist visas from the perspective of Australian Filipina couples. Now we're not looking at the holiday makers, we're not looking at the visiting relatives, etc. This is for our client demographic, which is loving couples basically. Now, what situations are Australian tourist visas suited? New relationships, most definitely. If you're not ready to commit yet, if you truly just want to see what it's like waking up next to each other for few months before tying the knot and before making it permanent, well, absolutely, it's responsible and fitting to the circumstances. Or one or both of you are still married. Now she needs an annulment and or you need a divorce. So you're not ready and able to marry without breaking bigamy laws, but you miss each other like crazy and you want to be together as much as you possibly can. The emptiness is getting to you, so you say, Jeff, can you help us? By the way, if this is you're finding this is of interest to you, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button there so you get updates whenever something comes out regularly, and for goodness sakes please go to the website, which is www.downundervisa.com.au. All of these recordings, like this one, these are transcripts. There are transcripts already in the blog page, so you can go back and read up on these things. Okay. So yes, which situations are less suited to tourist visas? Yes, less suited. There is a problem in that tourist visas to Australia, and I guess from many countries, are seen as the base visa, the cheap and simple ones which you can use to do a lot of things, especially if you don't have the money and or you're having cold feet about marriage and commitment. This is why we get people asking us for 1-year tourist visas, and those who plan to get one visa after another, one tourist visa after another, so they can put off the expensive and serious visa for a whole lot longer. Now I've explained this before, but I mean it never hurts to have a refresh, because not everybody has read every single article or watched every single video. Tourist visas are for short stays by visa applicants who wish to visit family and friends and do general tourism things. Visiting sister, visiting boyfriend, seeing the Harbour Bridge and patting a few koalas, that's their purpose. Anything you do to try to stretch it out to suit a longer term plan, well, look, it's going to fall on its proverbial. It ain't going to work. And they are getting tougher and tougher, clamping down on those applicants that they consider to be not what they call genuine temporary entrants, which means you are genuine about wanting to visit temporarily and then go. That's what they're there for. Unsuitable situations. De facto relationships, excuse me, drink of water. De facto relationships. Many people read and misunderstand the de facto relationship requirements for a partner visa, and you can't really blame them for that. The department website isn't the clearest of websites, and it's migration law is fairly complicated, so we can never blame anybody for getting things wrong. Basically, I mean, if you don't read through the migration regulations and and you drew the conclusion that you need to be living together for 12 months, whereas in fact you need to be in a de facto relationship for 12 months or more, but not necessarily living together that whole time. It's not actually silly to think of getting a 1-year visa. The department website itself, it makes it look like it's a real possibility, so why not? Our many years experience with Manila and with communication over the years with the Manila Embassy tells us you will never get a 1-year visa, especially to do this. The department website has this, it makes it look as though you're shopping on Amazon and you're just picking out what you want, like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. I can't go for the 12 months. That's how it looks. Look, if you're coming from Japan and you have plenty of money and you wish to spend a year in Australia, well, yeah, they can believe you may want to have a 1-year holiday. Goodness me, I wish I could have a 1-year holiday. But somebody coming from the Philippines, they do not believe you, and they believe that what you are doing is trying to avoid getting a partner visa. So that's the point. Another one, getting relatives to come and babysit your children, because the normal thing to do in the Philippines. You don't have an old age home next to a daycare centre. Elderly parents live at home and they take care of the children. That's what they do. And if you've got unemployed sister somewhere, well, maybe she comes and stays with you and takes care of your kids for you. So in the Philippines, that's a fairly normal thing to do. You need to get to work, your kids need care. So you find an unemployed relative and get them to help you in exchange for board and pocket money and a lifetime of utang. Filipino new mums quite naturally want to have the same thing. So I get requests for bringing cousin Mari Tess out for a year or so. No, won't happen. Can't bring unofficial childcare workers into Australia unless you're Mr. Dutton, of course. He can make a few exceptions to rules. But no, it ain't going to happen. Look, as far as if you want a bit of support at the time of giving birth, well, yeah, we can normally get your mum or get an auntie or someone to come and stay temporarily. But if you're thinking, okay, I want to get back to work, I want to have a live-in child carer, so I'm going to bring my sister. It ain't going to happen. Next unsuitable situation, you don't want to pay partner visa fees. Look, it's one of our more common scenarios and one which we're seeing more and more of, and one where I suspect the department are seeing more and more of too, which is why they're cracking down on just about everything to do with tourist visas. The department want people following the proper channels, and couples who want to be together should be applying for partner visas, and that means paying the fees, which is what the department want, of course. Anyone trying to use a tourist visa so they can live together long term, or even in the shorter term when that's their intention, they risk a visa refusal. Okay? Or if they catch you out doing it, you risk actual cancellation of a granted visa. So don't try that one. Expat couples, more unusual, but still happens. People who don't want to settle in Australia ever, and maybe already live in the Philippines permanently. Couple wants a long-term repeatable tourist visa for visits once or twice a year for years ahead. And this is actually what I'd planned on writing about, but I got off the track, as frequently happens. No matter, I'm sure there's a lot of information here that will be help anyway. But the point is that, look, I think they probably should. I know America has like 10-year visas where somebody can have this visa so they can go back and forth over the years. There would certainly be a place for it, but at the moment none exists. You get a visa, you do not get something that allows you to come and go over the years. So don't even think about it. Unfortunately, yeah, it means you have to keep reapplying. That's all there is about it. Expat couples and tourist visas from Philippines. A scenario comes up where you have a couple who are settled together in the Philippines. Sometimes he's retired and this is where he's planning to stay for the rest of his life with his Filipino wife. In other cases, the couple have a business here in the Philippines, or he's got a job with a multinational company and intends to remain for the next 5 or so years at least. Now this couple want to maintain ties with Australia, which is reasonable. This means trips back to see kids, see grandkids, friends, relatives, etc., just to reacclimatise. And maybe some find that they simply miss the Aussie life and want to, just reacclimatise on a regular basis. Life in the Philippines, that's where they want to be, for whatever reason, business, whatever. Yet they want to spend 10-20% of the year back in Australia, doing Aussie things and being immersed in Australian culture. Now these are the ones who ask us to find a better way of doing things, so rather than keep applying again and again for more tourist visas, order again. Look, I can understand that, perfectly logical. Again, countries like the US have 10-year tourist visas available for this purpose. Australia, no, doesn't happen. They're not suitable for everyone, and certainly open to abuse, I guess, but which is probably why they don't have them. But for a couple who have no intentions whatsoever of overstaying in Australia because they have a life here in the Philippines, and to whom they've never considered a partner visa, and then, well, why not? Because the thing is, a partner visa, look, if you're not planning on settling in Australia, within the next 5 years, it's really not much point getting a partner visa, because they do expect that you're going to actually use it. Don't think you can get a partner visa just simply for the purpose of taking holidays over the next 20 years. It simply doesn't work. So yeah, that's the point. So so like, it's not like the circumstances will change drastically each year. So again, it would be logical to have a visa like that, but none exists. Much I wish I could give some great news about this being an option. No, it's not. So no such visa exists. Multiple entry tourist visas exist. Yes, if you had planned a couple of visits over a single year, then sure, I would think you probably have a reasonable chance. Multiple entry means, okay, you can stay up to 3 months and then go back again, and you can do this a few times over, generally over a year. So something like that would be suitable in the short term, just not over 20 years. But look, there's no promises on that, is there? And no promises on anything. But look, if you have plans you can explain and document, then there's a good chance that we could help you with that. But again, next year and the year after and the year after that, it means coming back, starting again. I won't dig out your old applications for references and say, oh, you're fine, you've applied before, tick. Doesn't work like that. Every application is a new application. They will be aware that you did the right thing and returned, didn't break the rules, but they still will do all the standard checks and will want the same type of documents and evidence that you're having a sound reason to visit and a strong incentive to leave at the end. Toughness with tourist visas. Been explaining in blog articles lately about the tightening up on tourist visas. Border Force are the enforcers at Australian airports, fairly serious and fairly tough looking characters in stormtrooper uniforms. They question people openly, sometimes they make threats they can't carry out. For example, recently they told a client that she could only stay a month on a visit despite it being a 3-month tourist visa. Nonsense. You can't change the terms of a visa. So they don't have the power to reduce a visa stay. However, they do have the powers to cancel visas outright, and they can put reports in that will be effectively black marks against the visa holder's name. They will see those, and they can decide that somebody is not a genuine temporary entrant. They could say, oh no, hang on, you're coming back too often, you are you're not a genuine temporary entrant, and they can in fact cancel the visa, stick you on a plane straight back. We had a client recently arrive one day in Sydney, missed her flight due to traffic. They were coming from somewhere on the other side of the Blue Mountains and got stuck in, probably I'd say it was weekend traffic, and didn't make the flight, so they ended up having to fly the next day. Now, the intentions were perfectly pure, yet traffic was against them. You know, she was trying to leave on time. She was absolutely trying to do the right thing. She wasn't just messing around. So yeah, she leaves the next day, then she tries to return and finds out a multiple entry tourist visa has been cancelled. And this is why we warn people not to stretch out your stay to the last minute. It's a bad idea. Cancelling for being one day late. Once upon a time it wouldn't have happened. You know, I had a client's visa cancelled after 4 days, which I wrote an article about. You'll see that. Now they will do it on. Now they'll do it on what was almost a technicality. So, look, best advice on that is, for goodness sakes, don't try to leave on the very last day. Just give yourselves just 2 days leeway, just enough so if something does happen, well then you don't end up in this scenario of having a visa cancelled. Not a good thing. So look, please take your visa conditions very seriously. Don't try to make tourist visas do what they weren't meant to do. Multiple entry tourist visa valid for 12 months. That is not a 1-year visa. Don't call it that. Don't treat it like that. As far as de facto relationships, we can help you to establish a de facto relationship without you getting into trouble. We've had a lot of experience with that. It just means relying on the guidance that we give you, because we do know how it works. Okay, I hope that's been a benefit. Again, please subscribe, please like, please share with your partner and anybody else you think that will be of help. And hopefully we can help you one day. Thank you.